hit it.
The whole Liam Kumar Day effect, not really happened.
Nigel couldn't make it.
Yeah.
I rang up Mendon all, he said he could make it.
Don't dig this hole. Phil, credit to the guy, he's always managed to do well for you, but he is a shocking person. You guys got a trophy? No.
It was pre-vim.
No, my life from Rashad Mendon.
Oh, you guys can do it. I'm a tag, Jack! I'm a fucking tag!
Hello and welcome to another episode of the LOC Report. As the title of the episode suggests, we have been thawed out of hibernation. We are back. Oh, there you go. You can hear it there again if you want to deliver another episode. The first episode of the 2024 season, in fact, Chris, and obviously the co-host would not miss that. How's it going, Chris?
I'm absolutely great. I mean, it's absolutely less about me in this one because since we've been away, many things have not happened, but we did have one quite unbelievable event, which was Nath got married.
It's true. Yeah, we do have another LOC marriage. I don't know what we're up to now, but yeah, that big event happened pretty much a month ago. Yeah, and as Chris says, the ring there to prove it. So.
Just in case you wanted any sort of excuse. But yeah, so that happened. And yeah, we're back for another season, which is again quite unbelievable. It is season 16, I think. Season
number 16, that is right. Yeah, and yeah, we've still got must be about half the league as founding members. So
yeah,
which is a good clip, I would say, for 16 years. A lot can happen in 16 years.
We're doing something right, I think. Yeah. So there is absolutely that. With the usual procedure applies this year, I think. So we start now. Week 1 is next week. So we have a slightly different kind of show as what we would usually have before the and as you'll see, and you may well want to go back and see how we do things, because this is something we've been doing for a number of years now. Yeah. But yeah, we'll talk to you about sort of what we're about and what we do before the start of the season, and then once the season gets in its fullest swing, then it starts to get quite interesting. So if this is your first time with us, welcome.
Probably you, Freddie.
Yeah,
among other people.
Absolutely, absolutely. This is something that we're going to do hopefully a bit more through the season. This has been our sole focus obviously over the last 15 years or so, but we may well be transitioning from this to something else very soon.
Yes.
But until then,
watch this space.
Here we are.
Yes, we have a normal episode of the LOC Report today, and as Chris says, we're going to park week 1 for now because the season does not start this weekend. It starts next Thursday, in fact. So yeah, we'll do a preview show at some point next week. So yeah, today is all going to be about the draft recap, and we'll have a little bit of a general season preview as well with that. So without further delay, we may as well just get straight to the recap. We'll come back and do some news in a bit. But obviously news needs players and things of which you need to find out about players and teams in the first instance. So we started off with as we always do, with the division lining event, or as we have done the last season or two, where we've had LOC Super Sunday or Saturday, whatever you want to call it. But obviously Viv was in Namibia at the time of the draft, so obviously he did not arrange or plan anything for the division lining, so we just did the Immaculate Grid, which some of you may have heard of beforehand and done. I quite enjoyed to just simply sort who goes into divisions, and again, we're about to get wet with the fish now. I'll turn that off.
Yeah, it smells great.
And we'll come back to look at a bit more of the divisions in a bit. Let me just find if I haven't got it on here. There we go. Yeah, so we've got so we'll go bottom to top like we did in the day. So with the Winchester division, we've got my dad, who did not do it, somehow missed every single message that was sent to the WhatsApp group. There you go. So basically gave up on 9 tries, 900.
Good effort.
But Ross with 827, he only got Tom Brady right, but at least he got 1. Freddie with 550 and Jeff with 502 in the Winchester division. And then Portsmouth, Ben was 451, Viv 372, Mike 357, and Pat 343. So a pretty close disparity there between those three. And then obviously that leaves the Southampton division, where we had Ollie with 235, Chris with 229, me with 137, and Tom getting under 100 with 98.
It's quite impressive.
He sweated it though. He took out. I did, like, a lot of us just did in like 20 minutes. We're like, that would do it. Top. But fair play, it worked. He got the best overall one. So that was the divisions. That was the first start. It was, without a proper division line event, it was a bit of fun.
It was
Immaculate. It was fun.
It was alright. Enjoy it. It was actually it was subject matter.
Exactly.
So if you didn't know the subject matter, shows.
It's probably the most actually on brand division
Yeah.
lining we've had in that regard.
Oh,
Yeah.
easily. Easily. And it does shows you who is a fan of the league and its history, and not a fan of the league and its history.
Yeah.
And that's the great thing about this game is that it doesn't matter.
Yep.
This game genuinely doesn't matter.
Yep.
It's about the here and now.
Because I think there is champions in every single tier. There is indeed. So yeah, there you go. So that was that. Then we obviously flashed up the new Coronavirus logo for this year, Coronavirus 16, which I have right here as well. There you go. LOC very much dipping its toe into AI this year, because not only this, there are 2 current team logos that are using AI. One of those is by this man to my right here, and the other is Ross, who's going to be doing his team names as food themed this year. You may already see Strawberry Jamal with his current team logo, so we've got that to look forward to as well. And then before we had the draft as well, we had the Nathwani rule enacted. The owner of the Nathwani rule this season was Ollie, because he won the regular season last year, which we all forgot, Ollie himself included. So when I messaged him just before the draft, I was like, oh, by the way, you've got the Nathwani role. I was like, oh, okay.
That's excellent. Yeah, we'll do that. And it's a great effect.
Yes, he moved himself up to number 1, much to Mike's chagrin.
It could be the touch of the year, that.
Yeah,
as we'll see later.
We'll see, because yes, there was that famous year where Ben, I think he swap positions with you. I think that was before we changed it to being just moving to a slot. It was actually swap with whoever's in the slot, and it completely caused him to miss the playoffs, I think, for the first time in 7 years or something ridiculous. So yeah, snake bit potentially, like the Madden cover could be a curse.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So that was that, and then we got to the draft. So we'll just go through the draft order. Oh, that's for the pod later. We don't want that one. So here we are. I've got it on the screen. So what we'll do, we'll just scroll down, go round by round. Probably just have a quick talk about the picks or anything interesting in the rounds, and just go from there. And then at the end, we'll come back and do a bit of favorite team, least favorite pick, least favorite kind of thing. So round 1, we had, as expected, Christian McCaffrey going number 1, but obviously not to the team we expected entering the day anyway. Bijan Robinson at 2, Tyreek Hill at 3, C. Lamb at 4, Jonathan Taylor at 5, Breece Hall at 6, Justin Jefferson at 7, Strawberry Jamal, Saquon Barkley at 8, Iksan, Derrick Henry at 9 to Ben Assisties, Jamar Chase at 10 to Forge Fires, 11, Amon-Ra St. Brown to Tom Cyrus and AJ Brown on the auto draft, 12 to the Dream Team. So it's hard to have surprises in the first round, really. If there's a surprise, someone's done something very silly.
Agreed, yeah.
Which we have seen, but not so much in recent years. But the one comment I would add is there was some immensely good value, I would say.
Oh, yes.
Certainly in the bottom half of the draft, because I think this year, just looking through it, obviously, I think McCaffrey was sort of the consensus one, obviously.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, if he doesn't stay healthy, it's going to blow up. But it's the kind of he's such an elite player, obviously, he's such an asset. You can't go any way else. But after that, you could probably make a case for most, if not nearly all, of the players who did go in round 1 here to be the second pick. I think Bijan, Tyreek, CD, probably Jonathan Taylor, definitely Breece, and maybe even JJ, Jamar Chase. Possibly even Amon-Ra St. Brown, you could have made a case to be at 2, and some of those guys I just mentioned went at 10 and 11. So
I was extremely happy to see Jamar Chase still there at 10.
I bet.
I thought, wow, because I mean, you're right. Not so many things happen in the first round in terms of personnel, but it's order.
Yep.
It's definitely order, and you see somebody like Jonathan Taylor, Saquon. Justin Jefferson, especially with the quarterback that he's got this year, all going above. Derrick Henry, even, I think that potentially Derrick Henry could be massive in Baltimore, but
he could.
You just don't really know with a new offense like that.
That was the one pick I was going to say with the first round that I thought, I mean, he probably, because I was near the top of the order, I never really looked too much, but for me, he was more of probably a second round, a high second round. So for him to go in the first was mild surprise to me, but like you say, what he could be, it makes sense.
It could be ridiculous. Yeah, that's right. So to see those elite receivers, especially the ones we saw last year that were proper game winners most weeks. Amon-Ra and AJ Brown particularly. Down there at 11 and 12. I think it's probably beyond anybody's wildest dreams down there. Cause I thought that we were going to get either a second tier running back or somebody who was very injury prone. at that position. Sorry, at that. But at that position.
Yep, definitely. We'll go on to round 2 now then, where it obviously starts to get a bit more interesting from round 2 because obviously more weird stuff starts happening or other things are happening. So we had Garrett Wilson at 13 to the Dream Team, Karen Williams at 14 to Tom's Tyrants, Jameer Gibbs at 15 to Forge Flyers, 16 the first quarterback off the board, Josh Allen to Ben Necessities, 17 Pukuniko to Ixan, 18 Travis Etienne to Strawberry Jamal, 19 is Ed Pacheco to Great Scott, 20 Marvin Harrison Jr. to Oakland Bears, first rookie of the draft, I believe. 21 Devon A. Chan to Pat Stan, 22 David Samuel to Gridiron Gang, 23 Josh Jacobs to Bucking Trent, and 24 Drake London to Golds. So yeah, the top of the round again, or certainly the first 3 picks, exactly as expected, or makes sense. But the first real surprise for the draft, I think in general, was Josh Allen at 16. Now, if you wanted one of the elite QBs in that spot, I think if you're in Ben Necessity's position, it makes sense to do it there because the likelihood of all 3 of them coming back to you from that spot in the third round is probably low. Not impossible, but probably low. And as it turned out, we'll see in a second, it may well not have happened. I do very much question, though, the choice of the 3 elite QBs that went
I exactly that, yes. I agree with you.
I'll let you...
Because I think you're right. I think that Buffalo's window has somewhat closed and that Josh Allen could be under pressure in a way that he hasn't been for the first time in some years. I do think, though, if we're talking and when we refer to the 3 elite QBs, we refer to Mahomes, we refer to Josh Allen, we refer to Lamar.
Yep.
I think Lamar's probably the one I would take there this year.
Oh, you think? Oh, okay, so you could even extend it to 4 because Hurts, I think, very much deserves to be in that category as well. Yeah. So, yeah, but you're right. No, Lamar could be in that category.
I think that if there's a year that he might be have all of the components around him to be absolutely top tier, it could be this year. We see that from Mahomes again with KC. When the bubble's going to burst.
He's got weapons now, though, which I mean, he's been good without them.
Yeah,
so
it may never.
Oh yeah, there's that.
It may never. Yeah. Yes, Hurts, but again, I'm not sure. I don't know how I feel about taking the first overall QB, especially in the second round.
Sure.
But yeah, it felt early.
Yeah,
it felt
early. Mean, don't get me wrong, Allen is still going to be good. There's no scenario where Allen's not good. But if you're taking the first QB, you're kind of saying, right, I want first crack at the QB1. Effectively, is what we're saying. I don't think Allen's going to be QB1 this year. He's going to be probably. I would be shocked if he wasn't QB top 5.
Yep.
There is a scenario that he's not because that receiving talent is not, certainly without Diggs there now, it's faded.
Yep.
But he is so good it's it could be one of those situations where it doesn't matter. But it's very hard to see him being QB1 and
I totally agree with you.
Yep.
I totally agree with you. I'd say in years gone by perhaps, and we've seen it to great effect.
Yep.
But in much the same way as that. We're talking about QBs. I do think that the second round, especially towards the bottom, we could be looking at, as we do on our review show right at the end of this season.
Yeah.
This could be a bit of a laugh a minute. Why on earth did some of these guys go in the second round?
Yeah, I mean, Isaiah Pacheco, if he can elevate Marvin Harrison, obviously it's a rookie. It's hard to know. Devon A. Chan, it's such a wild card. He could go any direction or be good value there. But you absolutely see why Pat took him there, and that's where he's going in a lot of drafts. Josh Jacobs as well, being the RB1 there in Green Bay, and Drake London again if he can take a step forward with Kirk. Yeah, absolutely. So again, some good value there. Nothing else really to add. We can debate the Achan thing, but obviously it's one of those things. We'll see at the start of the season or as the season goes on what that entails for that Miami backfield. So we'll go on to round 3 in the meantime, where we've got 2 QBs at the top. 25 Jalen Hurts to goal. 26 Patrick Mahomes to Bucking Trend. Then 27 Nico Collins to Gridiron Gang. 28 James Cook to Palestine. 29 Christopher Olave to Oakland Bears. 30 Mike Evans to Great Scott. 31 Brandon Ayuk to Strawberry Jamal, who was holding out at the time, or holding in. DK Metcalf at 32 to Ixan, Joe Mixon at 33 to Ben Necessities, Ken Walker at 34 to Forge Flyers, Rashad White 35 to Tom Sarrance, and Devontae Adams 36 to the Dream Team.
This is the round where I think there's some value, from actual value.
Yeah, it's round 3 again. It's the you kind of get past the period where players don't have warts. What if, so to speak, what rounds 1 and 2 is like, okay, what's the upside? Can these guys be the overall number 1? Or, when you start to get to round 3, it's like, okay, look, these guys absolutely could be great, but you start to have the negatives or the cons that are associated with them, and that, as you absolutely say, can create value, because again, you have a potential, QB1 overall, and the top 2 guys in the round, you've got some receivers that could be wide receiver 1s quite easily. Again, you have some running backs that could absolutely be RB1s or very good RB2s. In context of particular picks, I mean, the Brandon Ayuk, that one, it's kind of where he's going to. He's a great receiver, though. Like, and now that he signed his deal, once he gets into camp, yes, as we see with guys like this, they might start a little slowly, but they get up and running. Guys like Ken Walker, I mean, I think that's a great pick. He's one of those guys who could obviously jump up. And again, I hate to say it, my dad, I felt a little early for Joe Mixon for me. He's always been one of those guys in Cincinnati where he's basically been an RB1 on volume.
Yep.
But he's like the back end of the RB1, high RB2. Another year older, he's in a new team. You don't really know what happens when guys go to new teams. Also, again, he still profiles to get the volume, but they're also going to pass it a lot. And does he get as much volume?
And that's the thing. I mean, yes, he can catch at the backfield as well, which is
which is a boon,
which is a bonus.
Yeah.
But you're right; they didn't need somebody like that last year.
No, they did it with Devin Singletary of all people.
Exactly. So,
and especially when Ken Walker's on the board right there, Rashad White again. He's basically, Rashad White is the new Joe Mixon. He's the volume king.
Yeah.
His receiving efficiency is better than Joe Mixon's. His catch rates are better than Joe Mixon's. So, I had to say it feels like another little bit of a reach from my dad.
Well, yeah, absolutely. So I totally agree with that as well. We're here to be proven wrong across the course of the season. But yes, I think there's recency bias in that one potentially. You do see that in drafts a fair bit, especially when you see a player like that who has been very useful for one team and then go to another. I think Tom and I both absolutely stole 2 running backs at the bottom of the draft board there. But say that, you look at the receivers who went in this round.
Some good receivers.
Exactly. Nico Collins is there, Olave, Mike Evans, epitome of consistency, and DK Metcalf. After all that, of all of those 4, he goes last. So it tells you how deeply underrated Seattle are.
Yep.
With Geno Smith as the QB.
Yep. They should profile to take a step forward because they've got a new IC now who's better than the previous one, in my opinion. So,
And head coach, of course.
Yes, of course. Pete
Carroll's haven't got Pete absolutely draining that offense.
Definitely not. Round 4, then we've got another QB off the board, 37, Lamar Jackson to the Dream Team on auto draft. We had the first tight end go, Travis Kelce at 38 to Tom's Tyrants, Evan Kamara at 39 to 40 Flyers, David Montgomery 40 to Ben Necessities, 41 Dak Prescott to Ixan, 42 Ramondre Stevenson to Strawberry Jamal, 43 Cooper Kupp to Great Scott, 44 Devontae Smith to Oakland Bears, 45 Jed Moore to Pakistan, 46 DJ Moore to Gridiron Gang, 47 Stephon Diggs back in the trend, 48 Malik Neighbors to You Are Gold. Round 4, this is where the draft started getting a bit weird, in my opinion. I think... You go through this one and then I'll add any comments that you don't have from me.
Well, again, it's a weird one because you have some QBs like Dak, for example.
That was a stunning pick for me.
Yeah.
That was almost, and I don't want to spoil debate corner too much, but at that point there, just after Lamar had gone, especially with C-Day not having signed his deal yet. Now, yes, he signed it, but he's got to get in the camp and get up and running. But still, it seemed early for Dak. I don't think it needed to happen there.
Way early for Dak. I think the Cowboys are in implosion mode. They've got every chance of being an absolute shit show this year.
Yeah. You're banking on what he did last year, taking him in that spot.
That's
basically.
right. And can you really hang your hat on that? I'm not so sure there. Yeah, you'd expect to see. I saw earlier on. I think Lamar could be an actual value in this round. Funnily enough,
possibly.
More so than the others. Yeah, Kelce, would you expect to see there? But then you look down there, Kamara. I think that's probably my first mistake of the draft. To be honest, I should take Dave Montgomery there because at least I could have had the whole backfield. But
the thing is, this is the tricky thing with all the running backs here, because I think all of the running backs that went in this round probably should not have even gone in this round. I think you're looking at least round 5 is where these guys should have gone. I see why you did the Kamara pick because yes, he's the lead dog there. The worries are the offense potentially not being great,
putrid,
but that can sort of work for Kamara in terms of a volume-based thing, because if Carr checks it down a lot, it's more so about Taysom Hill for me, that just not giving him value himself, but just vulturing the value from the other players in the offense.
Yeah.
But when you look at the other two running backs that went, David Montgomery, I had David Montgomery last year. I loved David Montgomery for the first half of the year, especially. Second half, he was okay, but where Jamal Gibbs was in his ascendancy, and I know he's got that little hamstring thing at the moment, he's going to be there at the start. He needs Gibbs to go down, really, to be great. He'll be, a flex, high RB3, probably low end RB2, because at the start of the season where he was the goal line back, it was a perfect tandem, because Gibbs was lightning, on the rest of the field. He'd get the occasional longer touchdown. Montgomery, you could absolutely punch your ticket. You could set your watch, by him getting a touchdown each week at the goal line. But that changed near the end of the season, where Gibbs was staying in on or going in on some of the goal line rushes, and that takes a lot of Montgomery's value away. Yes, he's a premium handcuff.
Yep.
If Gibbs go down, he's an absolute bona fide RB1. But do you really want to be spending some pretty hefty draft capital here?
Yeah.
Basically betting on that?
In round 4.
Yeah.
I think it's round 4. Yeah. I'm with you. Yeah, I give you that.
And Ramondre, I went to the firsthand. I went to a Patriots preseason game this year. I made that decision. I was like, I am not touching any Patriots players this year. Any of them.
Full rebuild. They've been playing from behind all the time.
Yeah.
Aren't they?
Again, if you want to take him on a chance of volume around 6 and 7, I've got no problem with that. Round 4, there are so many other good players that we even saw. Cooper Kupp right behind him. So many good receivers that ended up falling to the back of the round, and even into round 5, we'll see. Yeah, so out of the 3 running backs taken, I think I would have had Kamara over all of those. So don't beat yourself up too much. But yes, it was probably a little early. For Kamara to go here. But equally, these were sort of the last 3 running backs of this kind of tier. We'll see the next ones that go. They were above the next, but they were clearly a step behind the others. You got any other comments you want to make? I mean, the only one I'd really pull out was Cooper Kupp being probably a tremendous potential value here.
Yeah, I'd go with that. Yeah, because certainly more than the behind him you see there, Devonta Smith, Waddle, DJ Moore, Diggs, and Malik Neighbours. I think if you're going to have a choice of those guys, you're going to pick Cooper Kupp first. How he went ahead, how he went behind Dak and Ramondre Stevenson, I do not understand. But yes, you're right. But at the same time, keep it healthy is the thing, and the Rams is not the team that it was.
No, and he's a bit older now as well. Like, it's easy to think Cooper Kupp and think of that tremendous wide receiver season he had, but that's quite a few years in the past now.
We're 3 years out. 3 years doesn't seem a lot, but 3 years is a lot.
Oh, in the NFL, absolutely is. By the way, we have 3 people watching live. One of them may be my iPad here, but if you are watching along and do want to comment and engage with us, please go ahead and do so. In the meantime, we will move on to round 5, where we had Terry McLaurin right at the top at 49 to our goal.
Value.
Amari Cooper at 50 to Bucking the Trend. CJ Stroud at 51 to Gridiron Gang. James Conner at 52 to Pat Stan. Anthony Richardson 53 to Oakland Bears. Colin Murray 54 to Great Scott. 55 Joe Burrow to Strawberry Jamal, very much the QB run here. George Pickens 56 to Ixan, 57 Michael Pittman to Ben Assistis, 58 Zay Flowers to Forge Flyers, 59 T Higgins to Thomas Lawrence, and 60 Tank Dell to the Dream Team. I've got some thoughts here, but again, I'll throw it over to you if you want to.
So let's start with the first 2. I think is receiving talent. I think they're 2 good value receivers in this round.
Yep,
definitely 2 wide receiver 1s. I think McLaurin could be the value draft
for sure.
Of the draft so far.
This could be the best Washington team we've seen from an offensive perspective we've seen in a long time. Cliff there, if Jaden Daniels is real. Jaden Daniels loves the Deeble, by the way. And McLaurin has never had a receiver that a quarterback can throw the rock like that, really. There's not a great deal of competition for targets there, especially now that they've traded Dotson. I'd say there's enough talent for them not to just defenses to just key in on McLaurin and erase him. But there's enough there to, that he should benefit from that slightly.
Well, and the fact that we've seen him in less than functional offenses do what he's done.
Exactly. Deliver wide receiver 3-2 value.
Exactly that. And say Amari Cooper, if they can somehow revive Deshaun Watson.
I like Amari Cooper. I did not want to take Amari Cooper again, let alone for the scarring of what happened in week 15. But I just did not want to be on that Deshaun Watson roller coaster guy, because I watched it last year and it was so frustrating because the team was good. Amari Cooper is really good. Oh my god, yeah, like you say, if he can play at a better level, then he's going to be great. But
the corpse of Deshaun Watson, because I you know, in some ways I hope that they finally get it together, but in some ways it's so Cleveland if they don't.
Yeah.
And then we get to the middle bit, which, you know, say CJ Stroud goes first. I can understand that. Because he's only trending in one direction. We think,
yeah. You look at it, and I wasn't massively in love with this pick. It was between him and T Higgins for me personally, and I just kind of looked at it and thought, well, I can round out the lineup with Higgins here, but the quarterbacks in this round aren't going to come back to me probably at the next pick. So it's a question of, do I want to just settle with a QB all season long, or do I want to round out the lineup and then have to play the stream game probably all year? And I was there before. If you remember that year, I nearly made the playoffs, and had I just missed out on Brady, I think it was by 2 picks that draft as well, and I would have absolutely stonked the league that year had I got Brady. And it basically cost me a championship not having a QB, because streaming was just blowing up in my face every week. And that was kind of the where the pendulum swung. Your point is, yes, I obviously had my pick of a handful of quarterbacks at that point, but the reason I went with Stroud, if you'll permit me to talk about it.
Of course, that's what
is because, obviously he had the great rookie year, which was unexpected, not because of his talent, but just because of that Texans team at the time. No one thought they were going to be much good because there wasn't necessarily a lot of talent there. They obviously overperformed. This year, they've obviously added Stephon Diggs and Joe Mixon, so the offense on paper has gotten even better. It's obviously another year of Stroud. Yes, he's got to, avoid a sophomore slump or anything like that, but I kind of viewed it as, well, it's hard to see him not repeating what he did last year. And I was more looking at the other guys, because if Richardson plays 16, 17 games, yes, he's going to absolutely outscore Stroud. Yeah. Is he going to play 6 or 7 games?
That is the question. And that's the way that he plays, you just don't know. Yeah, and you also don't know what he's going to be like outside of being a runner.
It was a small sample size. I mean, it was lightning in a bottle. But when teams get some tape on you and things, and it's so there's a bit of projection there with him. With Burrow, it was kind of about. He's very similar to Stroud in my opinion, because they're both sort of pocket passes. They don't really add much in the running aspect. But he's obviously he's had some injury issues, and it's just about they could pass more this year, which I like, because obviously Mixon is gone, so they might throw the ball a bit more. But if you're talking tiebreakers between these guys, that's just what swung it for me. And then Kyler Murray, again, he's a guy with a lot of potential. They've got a terrible defense, so they've got to be potential to be throwing the rock a lot. Obviously, he could be a better now, a healthier, removed from that ACL tear and things. He's got Marvin Harrison Jr. to throw to now. Yeah. But again, it was just, I just looked at it, I was like, you know what, I'll just hit a line drive up the fairway with CJ Stroud. He's probably could maybe squeak into QB5. He's going to be a QB1. I'll take that. That was the thing.
Yep. Nice and solid.
But yeah, you can't go wrong with any of the QBs there, and obviously, it's about where they're usually going in the draft. You get to the bottom end. I mean, I thought Higgins, especially given I was toying between him at that pick, to get him practically in the 6th round, I think is a screaming value. Yep. Yes, he had the injury issues last year, and yes, he's the second fiddle. But as I said, if the Bengals are going to be throwing more, he's going to be the direct beneficiary of that. If anything happens to Chase, he's the direct beneficiary. That's an absolute value pick there. And again, obviously the other receivers have some nice upside as well. Albeit, this is where we do start to see the warts emerge. While you've got the potential upside, you definitely have the potential downside.
Certainly with Pickens and Pittman. I mean, say Pickens could be in a really bad situation in Pittsburgh quickly.
And this is the thing we see with running backs. You can be on a bad team and still be a good fan for fantasy. But as a receiver, you can be usable, but your upside is absolutely capped where you can go. And I think there were some statistics, and we didn't really talk about, but Malik Neighbors going at the end of the 4th could be one of these reaches as well, because what he has to be is basically what Odell was in his rookie year to pay that off.
With a quarterback who's not nearly as good as
Eli Manning was at the time. No, and it's just, and yes, they'll have value, yes, they'll have good weeks, but they become these guys of where you're not necessarily playing them every week, and they'll potentially blow up on the weeks that you think you're not going to play them, and then the games where you're like, okay, it's a good matchup, and they don't always deliver. It just becomes a headache and really difficult with these receivers. You've either got to ride out the variance and just play them all along to get the upsides, or you potentially get stung by it. So interesting. Anything else from round 5?
Not especially. No, I think we're there.
Yeah. Round 6, then we've got Najee Harris to the Dream Team at 61, Aaron Jones at 62 to Tom Sorrence, Calvin Ridley Bradley. To the Titans fan, Forge Flies at 63. Sam Laporte 64. Ben Estes, Zamir White 65. Dixon, Trey McBride at 66 to Strawberry Jamal, another tight end. Was that I think that might be the second tight end off the board as well. Jaden Reed 67 to Great Scott. Jonathan Brooks at 68 to Oakland Bears. Mark Andrews 69 to Pat Stan. Raheem Mostert 70 to Gridiron Gang. DeAndre Swift 71 to Bucking the Trend. And 72 Tony Pollard to our gold. My first comment on this round is gone are the days of the RB dead zone.
Yeah.
We actually now quite often see nowadays, as evidenced by even Raheem Mostert here, who went even later than this in last year's draft, you can actually find running backs that end up being great for your team at this point in the draft. It's tough to predict. Not all of these other guys are going to hit, absolutely not, but some of them probably will.
Well, I look at someone like Najee Harris there. I think that might be Aaron Jones will be an absolute safety blanket as well for Sam Darnold, which makes a great deal of sense. Jonathan Brooks, number one back.
When he's back,
but will be.
Chuba Hubbard's just a guy, so
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So he's going to be all right. And then you look down the bottom there. Pollard is number one back in Tennessee. For what that's worth this year, I've got to say. For what that's worth,
it's going to be a 1AB situation, but he's presumably going to get the goal line at least.
I think so.
Yeah,
DeAndre Swift, we've seen what he's capable of if he can stay healthy.
Yep,
Chicago
could be a good
one of those weird teams this year. I think they can be very, very strange. But they can also they can surprise like the Texans did last year.
Yes.
It just depends how
absolutely.
good Caleb is. I mean, and if
he is,
if Caleb is unbelievable, then he's got some proper value. And Mostert, that Miami offense again, weird offense, but it was clearly electric last year. However, I think about all the picks in this round, and I think that I look there at Jaden Reed at 67, and think Green Bay, they've got some very exciting young talent this year. He could be a receiver that absolutely belies his draft pick there.
Yep. The thing with the Green Bay receivers is because it's almost like they've got a gaggle of pretty good receivers. Yeah. It's which are the ones that are going to emerge. It looks like he's going to be the top dog, or the head of the pecking order at least. So, if Jordan Love comes back as good as he does last year, or even improves, like you say, that could prove to be a great value.
And Green Bay have been an organisation over the years that have been able to keep two receivers fantasy relevant as well. Even if we look some years ago now, and I mean some years ago, when you could keep, we had Jordy Nelson and we had Donald Driver on the other side. Before that,
I think that would have been Greg Jennings and Donald Driver. It was Jordy Nelson. I think did Jordy Nelson cross over with Randall Cobb? Yeah, it would have been Randall Cobb,
there as well. Yeah,
and then you obviously had Devontae come on, and again some guys alongside Devontae had some value as well.
Yeah. So I wouldn't be scared by that.
No. Yep. Round 7 then, 73 Rasheed Rice to our gold, 74 Chase Brown to Bucking the Trend, 75 Christian Kirk to Gridiron Gang, 76 Gus Edwards to Pat Stan, 77 Don Kincaid to Oakland Bears, 78 Javonte Williams to Great Scott, 79 Nick Chubb to Strawberry Jamal, 80 Chris Godwin to Ixan, 81 George Kittle to Ben Estes, 82 Jordan Love to Forge Flyers, 83 Deontay Johnson to Tom Starnes, 84 Coppets to the Dream Team. Now this is the point where we get to the draft where it's a bit more perspective. Obviously, it's a lot more based on opinion, so we can't really scrutinise picks as much because it's just
there's still value here. Though.
At the top end here, though, you've got some guys like Rasheed Rice, who's going to be presumably the top dog. In KC, his price got suppressed obviously for fears of suspension, things like that, which seems like it's not going to happen. So it's sort of like a ADP misprice type thing. So you gold could benefit. You've got again some wide receiver ones on teams like Christian Kirk, Chris Godwin's obviously still like a receiver, Deontay Johnson, and then again you get some more running backs that could be potential starters on the team like Chase Brown, Gus Edwards, Javonte Williams, Nick Chubb when he's back from here, or come back from his injury. So it's an interesting round.
Definitely, I'd say I think there's some guys that can really make an impact on their own teams, not necessarily the fantasy teams that they're on. But you say guys like Christian Kirk, guys like Gus Edwards, particularly. I would say that could be a very interesting pick there at 76. Nick Chubb with his one leg.
But if he come back and he's still Nick Chubb, or
exactly,
80% even of Nick Chubb
at 79, you can't really go wrong with that. To be honest, I love Jordan Love.
I was going to call this out as well.
Absolutely, loved that.
And a lot of drafts he's going in like even round 5, round 6 range. This is where he should be going.
Yeah,
the risk is priced into this position of the draft, but you're getting all the benefit if it hits, and he becomes he can even take that next step forward or just repeat or continue what he was doing at the end of last year. No, especially when we've had the run go, you're just waiting around and then he's there on the board for you.
Who's left? Yeah,
Exactly.
it was him.
It's a good time
love
for him
that.
there. Round 8, we had the first defense off the board, Baltimore Ravens to the Dream Team. That was an auto-draft pick. We probably wouldn't have done that just naturally auto-draft, but Viv said he wanted a defense in the Ben range, and Ben was going to take one. As we'll see in a second, he did. 86, Zach Moss to Tom's Tyrants. Christian Watson, 87 to Ford Flies. 88, Brian Robbins to the Bare Necessities. 89, San Francisco 49ers defense to Ixan. 90, Devin Singletary to Strawberry Jamal. 91, Xavier Worthy to Great Scott. 92, Keon Common to Oakland Bears. 93, Brian Thomas to Pakistan. 94, Rick Dowdle to Gridiron Gang. Another defense, 95, New York Jets to Bucking the Trend. And 96, Scotland Sun to Euro Gold. It's very prospective, obviously, around at this point. The one I would like to pick out here is Brian Robinson. Yeah, I think that could be great value because he's going to be the starter. His knocks and the reason he's going this low is because Jaden Daniels, he's obviously an athletic running back. People get put off by that because, yes, they do vulture some value and obviously some touchdowns away, but he's a bit of a slimmer guy. Yep. I don't know if he's going to be doing it around the goal line as much.
Especially his rookie year.
Exactly, his rookie year. And the thing a lot of people forget is as well, these rushing quarterbacks open up lanes for running backs too. Yes, they take the value, but they give value back because they, especially with the RPOs, obviously teams have to respect it, and it makes it easier on a running back. And I think personally, again, opinion, we'll see someone took him in a bit. I don't think Eckler's a threat really to the workload at all because we don't see Jaden Daniels, the type of quarterback he is. He's not going to be a check down to a guy like Eckler a lot, and yes, he's going to mix in and run stuff, but I think Brian Robinson's the starter there. So
yeah, again, in a pretty resurgent, as we mentioned earlier on, Washington team.
Should be, yep. Anything else you want to add on round 8? It's, again, very much based on opinion at this point.
Very much so. I do think that there's a lot of speculation in there. You know, who will be the rookie that goes top? I mean, I
2 rookie receivers, 3 in a row actually.
Keon Coleman could be excellent though.
If he's the top dog, definitely.
And that at 92 could be a real steal.
Yep, definitely. Round 9, Caleb Williams, a 70-year-old gold. 98, Jackson Smith and Jigma to Bucking the Trend. 99, Jalen Warren to Gridiron Gang. 100, Ty J. Spears to Pakistan. 101, Justin Tucker to Oakland Bears. 102, Jameson Williams to Great Scott. 103, Mike Williams to Strawberry Jamal. 104, Marquise Brown to Ixan. 105, Keenan Allen to Ben Necessities. 106, Austin Eckler to Forge Fires. 107, Evan Ingram to Tom's Tyrants. And 108, DeAndre Hopkins to the Dream Team. Again, this is where we start to see potential values come in. It's this point of the draft. The first funny thing here, I mean, Ollie was obviously going to take Williams. He does have Patrick Mahomes as well. I think it was he took Patrick, or it was her. It was
unbelievable trade bait in round 9.
Yeah, I mean, in theory, if Caleb, the annoying thing, he did it because he's a Bears fan, so we can't critique that. Yeah. But if it hits, he's trading Hurts, which fine. If he doesn't hit, it's a bit of a waste of a pick in a sense. But he's going to want it for him.
Yeah. I mean, I get it. And say, you're not going to hang your hat on Caleb Williams as your number 1 starting QB at any form of this game. I don't think.
No.
But at the same time, I can understand why he's taking it. The pick below that, though, Jack Smith and Jigba at 98. Yeah. I think Mike will be rubbing his hands together and thinking to himself, I've got an absolute bargain on that one.
It was between him and Rico Dowdle for me, which Mike was also, he would have taken Dowdle with his next pick. So basically, Ollie could have taken JSN potentially as well. But he may not have changed what he would have done, I suppose, because he could have taken him actually. So, but Mike would have gotten Jackson Smith and Jigma or Dowdle, depending on what I did. So I think it's a great pick because I think Lockett's star's probably fading at this point. He's got that leg injury, he's another year older. Like you say, Gino and that Seattle offense should be a bit better. So if Jackson Smith and Jigma can take another step forward this year, it's good.
Jameson Williams and Mike Williams, the two Williams is 102 and 103 as well.
I mean, all the picks in this round, you could say, look at them and say, it become the end of the year, how did we not see this coming? Because all of them have upside at this point.
Keenan Allen 105.
Yep.
Nobody wanted.
Yep.
Nobody wanted him.
I mean, guys like DeAndre Hopkins, Ty J. Spears, all of these guys.
This is the thing with Tennessee. As a Tennessee fan, I've seen things come and I've seen things go. I've seen a lot of the run over the last 5 or 6 years. For the first time in a long time. I mean, obviously, Will Levis could be just complete chaos.
Good. But it could also be good.
But he has all the weapons to succeed.
He does. Yep.
Especially downfield, which hasn't been the case over the last 5 or
No.
6 years, I will grant you. But, with Ridley on one side, Hopkins on the other, the tight end,
Okonkwo?
completely unpronounceable first name yet.
Is that Chico?
Yeah, that's right.
Chico.
So again, it's three massive. Well, obviously Hopkins and Okonkwo, massive body guys.
Yeah.
Ridley's a useful player on the other side.
It is bizarre to me.
Yeah.
Because it feels like with the ADP and the ranking stuff, people have priced the Titans this year as if that offense is not going to be good.
Yes, exactly.
And I completely agree. There is a scenario where they're absolutely good. The reasons people don't think they are is because for all the pieces around the offense, you're right, the O-line isn't good.
No.
But they have got a really good O-line coach in, it's not Bill Callahan, isn't it? Brian Callahan's dad, who's obviously the head coach, and he's offensive mind from Cincinnati, so you've got that going for you. The defense is bad, but that's not necessarily a bad thing for certainly fantasy offenses. So I do think it is a bit of a mispricing
and
on
also,
these Titans players.
The division's still bad.
Yeah.
The Colts aren't good.
No.
The Jags aren't good.
Texans D isn't amazing.
The Texans are offensively obviously much better than I think than any of the other three offenses in the division. But even so, they're going to be there or thereabouts. And I think that whoever gets, I know he's injured at the moment, but whoever gets those kind of values on teams that are a little bit underestimated. Those are the ones that you got to look out for.
Definitely. And we also had the first kicker here as well, just to point out. Justin Tucker, 101 to Oakland Bears.
Straight to the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. Round 10, we've got Rome Odunze to the Dream Team. Jaden Daniels at 110 to Thomas Tyrants. Dallas Cowboys here at 111 to Forge Flyers. 112 Ezekiel Elliott to Bare Necessities. 113 Carson Steele to Exam. 114 Zach Charbonnet to Strawberry Jamal. 115 Blake Corum to Great Scott. 116 Jordan Addison to Oakland Bears. 117 Lambert Conky to Pakistan. 118 J.K. Dobbins to Gridiron Gang. 119 Josh Palmer to Bucking the Trend. And 120 Jerome Ford to our gold. So it's the round of the rookie running back. We had Carson Steele, Blake Corum, and so there's some other running backs or rookies in general. Rome Odunze, Jaden Daniels, last team to fill their quarterback, and Thomas Tyrants there, but it makes sense to roll the dice on him. Again, there's some potential upside here. Some things are going to have to fall some way for a lot of these players, like the kind of backup running backs. I think Jerome Ford could be a great value here. He's kind of a guy that I'm thinking maybe I should have taken him instead of J.K. Dobbins because, look, Dante Foreman's there. Chubb's going to be back at some point. It's got the potential to be murky, but Jerome Ford, played pretty well last year.
Yeah,
he was probably about an RB2, high-end RB3. Anything else you've got for round 20? Very prospective.
I mean, it really is. I mean, how the mighty have fallen in Ezekiel Elliott, who is only 29, by the way, at 112 overall.
Going behind Rico Dowd.
Yeah, exactly.
He's ahead of on the depth chart.
But, again, that probably tells you how far the Cowboys have dropped somewhat.
Yeah.
But I like Rome Odunze there at 109.
Yeah, no, that's a nice upside pick. Because I think with the Bears, I could see DJ Moore is going to be the top dog. He's going to be the lead receiver. He might not be quite the level he was last year, but he's still going to be the top guy. I'm not sure I can see a scenario where Allen and Odunze both succeed, but I could definitely see a scenario where one of them succeed. And I would probably say it'd be more likely to be Odunze. Now, the three are going to be great for Bears, the team, but I'm not sure Allen's going to be the one that's fantasy relevant, so we'll see. Round 11, we've got Harrison Butker at 1-2-1-2, you are gold. 1-2-2, Tyler Algier to Bucking the Trend. 1-2-3, Brandon Aubrey to Gridiron Gang. 1-2-4 to Tunga Vailoa to Pakistan. 1-2-5, Rashid Shaheed to Oakland Bears. That might have been the final starting quarterback, actually. I can't remember. 1-2-6, Trey Benson to Great Scott. 1-2-7, Steelers D to Strawberry Jamal. 1-2-8, Brandon Cooks to Ixam. 1-2-9, Tyler Lockett to Bare Necessities. 1-30, Brooke Bowers to Forge Flyers. 1-3-1, Khalil Shakir to Thomas Torrance. And 1-3-2, Jacoby Myers to the Dream Team. Anything interesting?
I'm going to comment on my own pick of Brock Bowers at 130. Right, this is a speculation that Devontae is going to get traded early.
Oh, okay. You think Devontae's going to
get traded, and there's going to be only one space for a massive-bodied freak that can catch a football in the end zone. That's Brock Bowers I don't care who the QB is. He is a beast.
Minshew supported an offense last year in Pittman. So.
Yeah,
and Pat has also commented, "Don't give Tom the title of last QB." That's my title.
Absolutely.
Yep. Thank you, Pat.
That's true.
I did correct that myself.
So, but
no, I mean, hey, it's round 11. it's projection time. You've got to take gambles like that because those are the things that create the value
I'm
and
swinging
win
for
you
the
the
fence.
draft.
By the
So,
way, Tua in round 11. I'll give you that, Pat.
Yeah.
That's all right.
yeah, the thing with Tua last year, and Mike will absolutely attest to this, was, I mean, the offense was so good. The potential was there. They just had the running touchdowns. They just had at such a high clip compared to the throwing ones. But if that regresses or normalizes a bit, then yeah, absolutely Tua could be good there. And hey, it's round 11. There's loads of free agent quarterbacks Pat's got to choose from should he want to go another
And
direction.
don't make me pick the best kicker in round 12.
So round 12, 1 through 3, Cammy Fairbairn to the Dream Team, 1 through 4, Youngwei Koo to Tom Starrance, 1 through 5, Jerry Judy to Forge Flyers, 1 through 6, Stephen Brown to Necessities, 1 through 7, Jake Elliott to Ixan, 1 through 8, Jason Sanders to Strawberry Jamal, 1 through 9, Eagles D to Great Scott, 140 Bills defense to Oakland Bears, 141 Dolphins defense to Pakistan. Pat is Miami FC. 142 Bengals to Grenang Gang. 143 Tyler Bass back in the trend. And 144 Bears D to our Gods. Yeah, pretty much kickers in D's other than Jerry Judy, who may as well be a kicker or a defense at this point. And then round 13, Chuba Hubbard at 145 to your Gold. 146 Bucky Irving to Bucking the Trend. 147 Taysom Hill to Grenang Gang. 148 Evan McPherson to Pakistan. 149 Jared Goff to Oakland Bears. 150 Jake Moody to Great Scott. 151 Michelle Lloyd to Strawberry Jamal. 152 David Njoku to Ixam. 153 Kara Santos to Ben Necessities. 154 Matt Gay to Ford Flies. 155 Seattle Seahawks to Tom Sirens. And 156 Mr. Irrelevant, Murray Douglas to the Dream Team. A couple of things in this round. Chuba Hubbard, at least for the start of the season, could be a value pick in the third. It's crazy to think he was actually, only 11 picks, 12 picks from being undrafted, basically.
Yep.
So, absolutely not sexy, but could be a guy that you could throw into your lineup, and he'll be a starting running back to start the year. And Grenang Gang started off the draft with a hill, finished it with a hill. Taysom Hill.
Bookended with a hill. Yeah, I mean, you never know what he might do, this guy. You never know.
I just love Taysom Hill.
You just love Taysom. I mean, he is the all-action superhero that keeps being fantasy relevant somehow.
Somehow, 34, still kicking. So
It's going to end at some point.
yeah, well, quite. Yeah.
But yeah, aside from that, there isn't really a lot to write home about
No,
this round.
no, I mean,
Then we did end with a wide receiver 1 somehow.
Yeah. He will not be a fancy wide receiver 1, but could be the best receiver in the Patriots offense for sure. Jared Goff, I think, is not a bad picker. He was Freddie's, I think, second quarterback anyway, but he likes Jared Goff, he said to me, so fair enough.
Why not?
Yeah. So that is the draft. So before we go on to the next section, we'll talk about Pat's said, so you're all a bunch of QB cowards. Well,
Well, got to be at some point. Got to draft one.
Before we go on to debate corner, we'll talk. Have you got a favourite team, least favourite team, favourite pick, least favourite pick?
Oh. I think putting the I don't have a favourite team. We had a look at them after the draft, and everyone was a much of a muchness.
Yeah.
I think that's definitely going to be a talking point throughout the season because we all think now that it's going to be pretty tight.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see if the surroundings do that, but you look there. We just went past Buck and the Trend, who did have a pretty stacked out front 5 in the draft. There we saw Bijan, Josh Jacobs, Patrick Mahomes, Diggs, and Amari Cooper. I think that's very solid.
Yep.
As a top 5. I think that's pretty solid too. That's Tom's Tyrants, Amon-Ra, Kyron, Rashad White, Kelsey, and Higgins.
Mm-hmm.
Very decent. There's some dream team on the auto draft. Less about that because that wasn't him. That one is sketchy as you like. That's Ben's. We'll just go back to Ben's just a second. This could be the injured or spotty. This is certainly 5. So this is Saquon, Puka Nacua on the regress.
Presently injured.
Yeah. DK Metcalf, Dak, and George Pickens as these top 5. Then the 6 and 7 are Zamir White and Chris Godwin.
Yeah.
So I'm down on that one. For me, the old 3 backs, 3 receivers in the first 6.
Yeah.
Like it. Or that one there. That's Great Scott, Breece Hall, Pacheco, Evans, Cup.
Yeah.
Big upside. Your Dallas swung for the fence there. Derrick Henry, Josh Allen, Joe Mixon, David Montgomery, Michael Pittman. That is up and down.
I didn't realise he went back-to-back tight end as well.
Yeah, that's pretty insane.
I think my dad's team might be my least favourite team.
Yeah, so it's unbalanced.
It's like you say, that there's a lot of evenness, but you just look at build and stuff and you nitpick at this point, don't you?
Yeah, exactly. So who knows what Debo might be, but again, if he's what he is, then so Nico Collins. If you put Nico Collins as your second pick, I wouldn't have completely minded that either. I think what we're seeing there is there are no standout teams that had particularly unbelievable drafts.
No, which you expect to happen because we all know what we're doing. So my least favourite pick, I'm going to call it the Dak Prescott one. I don't think you can call any pick a bad pick. I wouldn't say anything is a bad pick, not from this draft anyway. But yeah, it was just early. Probably better QBs on the board. If you want Dak, that's fine. But you could have waited a couple of rounds, probably. At least a round. Favourite pick? There was some good value late ones. I think Jerome Ford in round 12, was it? Or round 11, I think, in the end. I don't think you can look past that. That's some great. What was it, round 10? I can't even remember. Yeah, round 10, at the end of round 10. That's a great pick. Some of the ones in the back half of the draft were just, really, like you say, Jackson Smith and Jigba.
That one could be it, actually. I think that's. Jack Smith and Jigba at 98 is good, really, really, really good value.
Brian
and there was some in the 5th and 6th round that we saw that might be it as well, actually. This is one. I think Terry McLaurin at 49 could be it as well.
Could be. Could probably. Yeah. So
I quite like that too.
That is the draft recap for you. This we were going to go into debate corner. I suppose we still can, but it may be a quick one. So let's find John, see what he's been up to all these months in hibernation. John, where are you, John? Order. Thank you, John. He's
been on American TV, isn't he? He's been on wherever it is.
Really? Is that what he's got up to? Well, new government and all.
Well, he's just been forgotten now, isn't he? What's that show? He was on the BBC, and it's all these people that go around, and it's the Traitors, isn't it? Traitors, I think it is. Okay. He was on the American version of that.
He was on the American version of the Traitors.
I believe so.
Wow.
I know.
What?
Oh
yeah, because they do this with celebrities, don't they?
Fall from grace.
Celebrities, yeah. Well.
So you can count him as a celebrity.
Yeah. Well, so debate corner today was going to be most surprising pick of the draft. That is different to your least favorite or favorite. It's just what was the most surprising pick of the draft. I think I would apply Dak Prescott to there, or Josh Allen at pick 16 would probably be my two most surprising ones. Do you have one particularly that you think was not necessarily bad, not necessarily good, just a surprise?
A surprise. It's probably going to be... do you know what? I'm going to go as far as saying I can't believe I got Jamar Chase at 10.
Yep, no, you're right. The value. You could even extend that to Amon Ra at 11.
Any of those
Either
guys.
of those two, the fact that they fell down there.
I can't believe that.
Yeah, tremendous value. So that was quite surprising. The thing, it's weird though, isn't it? Because like I was saying when we were recapping it, okay, if you supplant them at the top, and then let's just say you slid the two guys down that went ahead, okay, Barkley and Henry go at 10, 11. I suppose that's less surprising. If they go there, you're like, yeah, that makes sense. But certainly Jamar, he is a guy that's typically a top 5 pick.
Yeah, quite.
In drafts. Amon Ra isn't normally in the top, but he's usually maybe 5 to 10. Yeah. So yeah, both of them were definitely values. Yes, yeah, definitely a surprise.
I've never taken a receiver in the first round for some years as well. It gives me that cold feeling.
You know what?
Inside.
It was a strange year because a lot of years I'm very much like you nowadays. It's like get the stable of running backs early because they bring so much value. What we saw last year and what we can see in fantasy is because these receivers, if you have an elite receiver, it's very difficult to find an elite receiver through the year. Yeah. Running backs, typically you can find running backs as you go. They're not going to be necessarily RB1 level, but you can find someone who's going to be an RB2, potentially back end RB1. As you go through. So if you have those receivers locked in and you can find those guys, it makes you pretty stacked. Whereas if you've got those running backs, you're already weaker at receiver because of that, and you don't typically find those receivers. But even in previous years, I still think it makes sense to go with the running backs because that's where the guaranteed or the value is. This year it did have a different feel to it. Actually, the elite receivers, if you can get these guys and then come back later on, it was quite a deep draft in terms of running back. And again, same is going to apply. There's going to be running backs out there during the season that you can go and get. Because I took a receiver at 3 as well. So it was between him and Hall for me personally because I think Hall could be the running back one this year who went to 6th as well. Interesting. Let's get on to some league news then next. And for that, I need our news jingle. So, just as news, we obviously have a new league member. One has left, one has entered. Freddie, welcome to the league for the final time. We'll say that too. But good to have you on board. Hope you enjoyed draft day. Then just some general league news. Not really much going on in the LOCs for at the moment. We obviously didn't have an AGM this year. That was the thing I was going to say. Yeah, no changes, I think, at all.
For the first time in a long time.
How relatively minor. There may be something I look to bring in, but it's not going to affect the game. It's a very minor thing, but I'll probably drop that on the WhatsApp chat at some point. Talking about some player news then. So Ayuka signed his contract extension finally. He did that yesterday or overnight or something.
Nice.
So Ross does not have to worry about that entering the season now. Ross does have 2 reserve players in Chubb and Lloyd for the Packers though. He's got one of them on reserve, but I think we've only got one reserve.
Indeed. So you got to drop one.
Or hold one.
Or hold one.
But
most importantly, don't have 2.
No. Chase is still holding in, which I'm sure you definitely know. So we'll see what goes on. Now that the Ayuk domino's fallen, because the thing with these contracts is where obviously it was CD, Chase, and Ayuk, it's like a domino effect almost, isn't it? CD got his. Ayuk came in at less than I think he's in the Amon-Ra range, but slightly less than the likes of Jefferson and CD. Allegedly, Chase wants Jefferson's contract plus 1 cent.
Of course.
Because I think that would make him the standalone highest paid. So, but I mean, they're all the same ilk, aren't they? So
you can't not pay someone like that, especially if you're the Bengals, who are, let's be frank, quite cheap.
Yeah.
Then there's only so much talent that runs across you before they don't come to you anymore.
Yeah.
So pay the man.
Yeah.
Pay the man.
All these GMs and teams end up paying these guys anyway, so why wouldn't you just pay them and have them in the facility? So you start the year normal.
Exactly that.
Yeah.
Well, it's because Mike Brown's still living in 1952.
Before free agency. Jonathan Brooks is now on reserve for Freddie as well, obviously with his injury that he's come back from. And for Pat, CD, as I mentioned, has signed his extension now, so he's going to be relieved at that. That is all the league news I've got. Have you got anything?
That is about the extent of it.
So we'll just have a little bit of a season preview now. So we'll just take a quick look at the divisions because I mentioned them earlier on the draft recap section, but we didn't really talk about the divisions and the makeup. So we'll start with the Southampton division this time. So these are the 4 highest immaculate grid scorers, obviously. So it's you, me, Tom, and Ollie. So there's some spice in this because we've got a podcast bowl. We've got the what's called the Winchester Bowl in the Southampton division because obviously they were Charlton friends as well. 3 of the 4 teams have Corona Bowl wins between 2 multi-winning Corona Bowl teams. We have one that's never won it as well. It's a pretty spicy division, I'd say.
I love that division. I'm all over that. And say, everyone's had a reasonably recent good history as well.
Yep.
Apart from Tom. Who absolutely hasn't. But it's the time to turn the corner.
Yep. So, it'll be a good division to look forward to. Postal division, we've got Ixan, the Dream Team, bucking the trend, and Pakistan. So I believe Ixan and the Dream Team are the 2 most recent, actually 3 most recent champions, because Viva's won 2 out of 3. And again, 2 multi-winning Corona Bowl teams, and then 2 teams that have not won a Corona Bowl, and bucking the trend, and Pakistan. 2 of the newer members of the league, but I mean, they've both. Certainly, Pat's been in it, I think, over 10 years at this point, and Mike's obviously been a good 5-6 years at this point, I want to say. Anything jumping out of you?
Well, I think if, we've seen that Viv's off on his travels, so, he might not have his eye on the ball for the first few weeks,
Could be a Super Bowl, Corona Bowl hangover.
Exactly, we've all been there. Yeah. Well, except Mike and Pat, of course.
Ouch.
Pat thinks it's his year this year, so I mean, I'm all for it. If he's, hopefully he can follow that through. But I'd love to see a different winner. That's natural.
Yeah.
Will it come from this division? Well, we all know Ben's pretty sneaky, in terms of how he goes about things. It's all about the stats.
Yeah.
But again, we saw his team. It could be a little bit like the stats sometimes lie a little bit. So I think that Mike's. We didn't talk enough about Mike's team and say he went for Patrick Mahomes quite early in his draft because he's had QB woes.
It does scar you.
It
absolutely does. Like you can if you get a good team and you get the QB right, you're onto an absolute winner. Yeah. But it's harder than you think.
Well,
it really is.
It's true, but he also has Bijan, so we potentially got a team where we've seen it in years gone by, where you hang on the coattails of Mahomes and Bijan's success, Plus, you've got solid, if not unspectacular, guys like Cooper and Diggs and Josh Jacobs.
I would have loved if Mike had taken T. Higgins instead of Diggs.
Yeah.
I think I just look at this team. I think if Mike, if you took Higgins instead of Diggs there, because Diggs could be good, but he was waning. It felt like
he's
in Buffalo
crowded out in that offense as well.
It's because and then you're looking at Swift as being he was the 6th round drop pick, but then you could have Smith and Jigba who comes and replaces Chase Brown might hit. You never know.
Exactly. So Josh Palmer's there as well. So
I thought he profiles to be the top receiver.
Yeah, they've got to throw someone there. So I think that could be a bit of a wild card.
Yep. Then Winchester Division, we've got Ben Necessities, Great Scott, Oakland Bears, and Strawberry Jamal. So again, we've got a couple of Corona Bowl winners, albeit not for quite some time. At this point, and obviously 2 of the newest members of the league, Great Scott and Oakland Bears. Obviously, Jeff made the Corona Bowl last year in his debut season. Obviously, we've got a brand new team of Freddie, so this is quite an interesting division.
Nobody really knows how this one's going to go.
This is. I feel like this is going to to be the Joker division of the year.
For sure. Jeff came out of nowhere last year. Obviously,
he would be my early favourite to win this division.
Yeah, and this is the thing, but had a lot of adversity last year. Came out of nowhere to. He had
to overcome some stuff.
To overcome some stuff. A terrible first half of the season, and then come out and do what he did. Your dad's been woefully inconsistent over the last 2 or 3 seasons. From somebody who was rock solid for so long, it has been a rather up and down. Ross's team, you genuinely do not know what's going to happen week on week, and neither does he. And Freddie, well, say best of luck down there, old chap. But yeah,
it's a good division for him to be in. I feel like this is a nice division for your first.
I think so. I think this is the way to pad it out. I hope that you go well. But yeah, don't forget there are some permutations obviously with these divisions. So that it's not all about who wins the division or indeed who comes second in the division.
Yeah,
it is sometimes about points scored.
Yep. Now that we have that wild card.
We have that wild card as well, and also we still have the true wild card, don't we?
Yeah, the traditional one, best record. We
still have that
with points forward as tiebreaker, obviously. Yeah.
So absolutely. Yeah. So look, it all is not lost. So make sure that you just the aim of the game really is just to make sure you score as many points as possible.
You're never really truly eliminated now until week 14 concludes, albeit we know realistically some are, but it keeps you in it for longer. Like
yes.
We'll just have a look at the week 1 lineup now, or what's on the scorecard. We won't do the previews, as I say. We'll come back and do that next week. So we've got a version of the Waypoint Bowl Gridiron Gang and Bucking the Trend facing off. Strawberry Jamal against Tom's Tyrants. That's the Founder Bowl. Forge for that wasn't a Corona Bowl match either. I can't remember who Ross beat that yet, but no, I don't think it was him. Forge Flyers against Ixans. We've got the Friendship Bowl here in week 1,
which we are going to rename.
We've got a rename.
We have a rename because it is a Friendship Bowl, but now it's beyond that because again, some very exciting news has happened in the off season.
Yeah, so, of course. Sorry, we haven't mentioned it.
So Ben has become a father.
Yeah,
which is wonderful.
Yeah.
So that I think trebles our numbers now. Maybe more. I don't know. How many dads do we have?
So there's Ollie, Ross, Ben.
If any of you
my dad is.
Of course. Yeah, your dad counts. Yeah, that's right. So that's 4. Yeah, I forget about that. So let's go with 4. If you have kids and we have forgotten you, then do please let us know.
I think that is it. I'm pretty sure it's it.
But so he become that. So Ben, I'm going to rename this bowl between Ben and I the Felix Bowl.
Nice, like it. And I'm sure you can figure out why it's called the Felix
Bowl because Ben's son is called Felix and I am Felix's godfather, and Ben is obviously Felix's dad. Yeah.
So, there you go.
So the Felix Bowl it is.
So the Felix Bowl in week 1. Great Scott against UR Gold. Then we've got Oakland Bears against Pakistan. That's obviously Freddie's debut game. And then Ben Necessities against the Dream Team. And this is a divisional week, I believe. No, it's not a divisional week. Sorry, in week 1, is it? No. It's not a divisional week, but no, we've got some nice matchups on the cards. I think all looking forward to it. And as I say, first game kicks off Thursday. There is a Friday game this year as well.
It's in Brazil, isn't it?
The Packers and the Eagles. So you'll have Jordan Love playing.
I'm looking forward to it. I might even stay up for it.
Why not? Do we have a Waypoint game next day?
Yeah.
Stuff. You're coaching, what does it matter?
None of me.
Yeah, that's that. And then I just put a general expectations or anything you think, so, predictions for 24, anything you've got from an LOC
So from
perspective.
an LOC perspective,
Yeah.
okay. So every year I'm going to say is I really want a new winner, right? Because it makes so much sense. Almost everybody who's been in the league a significant amount of time has now won it, inclusive of Ross on his auto draft.
Yep.
Which is it's still quite unbelievable season.
Mm-hmm.
So, Pat, it's your season, mate. You're the next up because he is. He's the next up. You and OGB have got absolutely no complaints this year because you're the two that have been in there the longest. You've got the most amount of experience. Mike's, as you say, clipping at the heels, but Pat and OGB, and I think look there. We spoke about Pat's team earlier on. Let's go to You Are Gold just for a moment because You Are Gold were once upon a time, and I think he probably won't mind me saying this, a bit of a laughing stock at certain points of the season, but
Oh yeah, the year before. Yeah.
But I mean, can we somewhat laugh at this one at the moment? I mean, yes, I like Jalen, I like Drake London to a point, McCaffrey to a point. And then after that,
I see what you're saying. Yeah,
we've got official dart throws in week 1, people.
I think Rashee Rice is fine. Rashee Rice is a pretty solid pick. But yes, Chuba and Jerome, and they should be the starting running backs
against
in
those
week 1.
defenses as well.
Yeah, why is he not playing Terry? I get you don't want to see Jaden Daniels in week 1, or you want to see them in, but that seems odd. I kind of get not playing Malik Neighbours as well, but it's kind of like you draft these guys. Week 1, I always nowadays because it's just a silly thing. Start in week 1, right?
Yeah.
And I get it. He's probably looking at it as well, they're the starting running backs. But I don't know.
This will obviously come to this for the week 1 preview, especially if
he might change his mind.
Keeps the team as it is, but there's some horrendous defenses in week 1 for that team. Anyway, just gonna put it out there. OGB, it should be, you gotta be swinging for the fences, but Pat, it's all on you, pal.
There you go. No pressure, Pat. Yeah, I've got nothing to add. So, so the LOC report is back. We will obviously endeavour to do the weekly episodes like we do, starting from now, because we'll do the week 1 preview next week. As Chris said, watch the space for some other stuff. The LOC report might be a shorter format at some point, but we'll see how that shakes out. So, thank you for joining, Chris.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. So it's good to be back. It really is, you know. And we will be back. And the good news is actually this year, because of some slight lifestyle changes for both of us, we will be able to broadcast this in the afternoon on Fridays.
Yep.
So we won't. That's the slot that will be. So it won't be midweek like we've had in previous years. We can genuinely give this a go on Friday afternoon for LOC and whatever happens beyond. So do tune in if you are around. If you happen to be in the UK or beyond, we will be here. And if you don't mind us whittering about our own fantasy league, then that's fine. At some stage, we'll have a podcast featuring the two of us about everyone else's fantasy league.
Yeah.
And that is possibly the most exciting development of all of this throughout this entire podcast.
Absolutely is. So, I've got nothing to add to that, so we'll see you. Have a good weekend, everybody.